Welcome back to my channel, friends.
2 weeks have passed. Questions have been sent, the cards have been dealt, and now I have to play them. I am excited to be answering all your questions. And without further ado, let's just jump straight in. First of all, we have some questions that were asked to me when I announced the Q&A parts 2. Of course, I never got to answer them for about a year because I was busy with, well, other projects in general. And some of these YouTubers might be inactive as of currently doing this video. So if you're watching this in a year or so, then I do apologize for taking so long to answer your questions. Anyway, let's begin. First question comes from Galcry, and he asks, what's your opinion on Rhino, Trap Shadow, and Pit Boss? Well, a year ago I didn't actually own Pit Boss, but after a shopping trip at Kingston, I finally have him in my possession. So fortunately, I can now state my opinion on all three Skylanders. Let me just get my Skylanders box out for a moment. For what he is, I quite like Rhino. But the main problem I have with him is that I just find him very forgettable. While his moveset does create quite the risk and rewards dilemma, being able to charge up his attacks to do extra damage, the thing is that I find the concept of a Rhino in the fire element being a motorcyclist very, very weird. And I just don't find that iconic, despite ironically being one of the most marketed characters in Swap Force's run. So, good Skylander, I just don't find him to be the most memorable Skylander I have in my collection. Meanwhile, with Trap Shadow, I actually find him a very interesting Skylander. In fact, for the longest while, he was actually my second favourite Skylander, although Rubble Rouser could be potentially taking that spot now. But anyway, his moveset really flows together nicely, from his main claw attacks to throwing his spare traps, and to that little mist that he kicks. I really like how it just flows together into such a hunter-esque moveset. And that's what I really appreciate about Trap Shadow. And also, he's easily got one of the best designs in all of Skylander's Swap Force. And finally, we get to Pit Boss. Now, although I've reserved him for an episode of Code First Impressions, I actually already played with him once in Scholarville, and he was quite a good Skylander. Sure, you have your standard staff attacks, but then you can also turn into a snake which deals knockback to your enemies. And you can also summon a vortex, I think, as well. I don't really remember what his third move was, or second. But he's definitely one of the less egregious senseis in Imaginators, and that's what I really like about Pit Boss. Plus, he was voiced by John Cassier, who also voices my favourite Skylander, Ghost Roaster. And any Skylander that's voiced by John Cassier is epic. Next question is from Cheesebread, who asks, why is Fortnite dead? I don't necessarily think it is. I mean, at one hand, it definitely has one of the most addicting gameplay I ever played in a video game. But on the other hand, I just find the story very convoluted and uninspired. And also, most of the characters aren't really that memorable. As most of the time they just serve to be skins. Like, Fade from Chapter 2, Season 3, I think, he looks pretty cool, but unfortunately he doesn't really get much story time aside from crashing a boat at someone, and that's it. There are a lot of pros and cons to Fortnite, and it kind of balances things out. But then again, they did have a rock. Alright, now we start with the questions that were asked when this Q&A specifically was announced. Again, let's just get straight ahead. First, we have Renee Luna, who asks, what are your most anticipated Skylanders from each of the 6 games? I already made a video about this a year ago, but no question shall be left unanswered. I'm a hypocrite. I got into the Skylanders franchise a few months before Trap Team was released, so I wasn't necessarily there from day one, but I'll do the best I can to answer this question. For Spyro's Adventure, it was Ghost Roaster because I think you pretty much know the story already, got scared by his trailer, then strangely wanted him, and then got him, and yeah. I wasn't really necessarily interested in Spyro's Adventure, and I never really got it until I was much, much older. So I don't really have a lot to say in terms of Spyro's Adventure. Then for Giants, this is a bit of an odd one. I wanted Series 2 Wrecking Ball because I just thought that repost looked a lot better than the original one. Plus, back then, I desperately wanted Wrecking Ball because he's just so damn cute. So, yeah. Bit of an odd one. And then for Swap Force, I remember reading a magazine. I think it was either Toxic or Mega, I forgot. But one of the guys that was advertised there was Trap Shadow, and I thought he looked the coolest out of all of those Skylanders. So yeah, felt really happy when I first got him. For Trap Team, it was Nightlight. When the light and dark elements were first announced, I thought I need to get my hands on at least one of those Skylanders. And Nightlight was the one I just loved the look of the most. And also I got him a year later in 2015, courtesy of my mum. So, thanks mum. And then for Superchargers, it was Astro Blast. First of all, the name Astro Blast, it just sounds pretty awesome. And plus, he looks to be quite a great Skylander. Unfortunately, he was terrible right out of the box, so my excitement for this character just came and went. And then finally, the only Skylander I haven't got from the 6 Skylanders is Robo. I quite like robots myself, and Robo looks aesthetically pleasing. He was a great mix between medieval and machinery. But unfortunately, we all know about the tragic tale of Robo. Thank you very much for your questions, Renee Luna, and congratulations on 80 subs too. You definitely deserve it, mates. The next question is from Poor Master Ryan, and he asks, did you play Skylanders Ring of Heroes before it shut down? To be honest, I just never really got into Ring of Heroes in general. I mean, I do appreciate it for being one of the last few Skylanders content that was regularly available and updated, but there just wasn't anything truly compelling to really bring me into the game, and I just felt that I was really truly missing something for me. It's probably the fact that it's an RPG, and I'm just not really a huge fan of RPGs. Sure, they can tell some of the most compelling stories in video games. Trouble is, I just find them extremely difficult to play personally. And also, I just don't really like the weird anime art style that it has. And sure, it does have lots of cool Skylanders returning, like Astro Blast and Sharkshooter Terrafin. And there's also the optional evolved forms. But it just... I was just never really interested in Ring of Heroes, honestly. I am sad that it is shut down, so now I would have never had a chance to play it. But ultimately, I wasn't sure if it was going to be worth my time, and I'm just kind of more used to the charm of the original games. Thank you for the question, though, Poor Master Ryan. It definitely gave me an opportunity to reflect on Skylanders Ring of Heroes, a game that I otherwise could have possibly never covered in my channel. Next up from KG the Big Mac God, we have, what is your OnlyFans? I really do not like OnlyFans, and the concept behind it is pretty vile. I much prefer watching YouTubers joke about it than actually having an OnlyFans account myself. Now, excuse me while I rehabilitate myself with some chai tea. Please stay here. Oh, do admire my collection in the meantime. Tea takes only 10 minutes to make. Be there. My next question is from Starfire321, and he asks, what's your favorite sandwich filling? It depends on which day, if I'm being honest. Sometimes I quite like a cheese sandwich, sometimes I much prefer a ham sandwich, and sometimes I just like the two together. Basically anything between a ham or a cheese sandwich. And finally, we just simply cannot forget Simp Type, as he asks not 1, not 2, not 5, but 4 questions. He asks, okay, Monsieur Beyond Hero, why do you choose to record stuff from your computer rather than using screen recording on your iPad? What inspired you to make Travel and Terrorism? Why is AVAC your favorite Bionicle character? And lastly, will there ever be a Travel and Terrorism 3? To answer your first question, the reason why I record things on my computer using my iPad is because I want to save myself the trouble from using these sketchy websites to download videos to send them on my iPad to then use for my videos, because I'll put my computer at risk and therefore myself. But that being said, I do quite like your idea of using screen recordings for the iPad, and I think that's a really good idea, so I'll get around to trying to add that into my iPad so that better quality videos can come into the future. Thank you so much for the suggestion, and I really appreciate it. So for the next question, what inspired you to do Travel and Terrorism? For the actual whole series itself, unfortunately that kind of extends beyond personal, so I personally don't want to share it, but for Travel and Terrorism specifically, at least from a plot and its premise, I'll be very happy to share. The idea came to me multiple times when I was watching the news and I heard about crimes committed by people in the police force. I grew up in my childhood thinking that the police were purely good, but now that I'm older, I realized that they're just a collective group of people with mixed moralities, just like us in a society, with just a sense of justice bringing them together, with only a select few using their power or equipment to bring harm rather than do good, not only just here in the UK, but also in the USA as well. And kind of that shock, breaking a child's perception of what they think the police are, that is kind of ultimately the idea that would spawn into Travel and Terrorism. As for your third question, I honestly don't really know, if I'm being honest. Often my favourite characters in any piece of media will be either a character that I first experienced in said media, or it could be a character that I just find cool in general. But AVAC was one of those strange cases where I thought he looked cool, but why does it compel me to his character? He wasn't the most strongly written piraka, so how can I like him? I honestly really don't know. And trying to explain to you Lego Bionicle lore is a more laborious task than learning what scales and vectors are in physics. So I thought I might describe why I like AVAC in song form.
In comes the trigger, the monster engineer, bringing all that swagger while giving quite the cold sneer, building weapons to slaughter. His loyalties are anything but clear. Was a former jailer for the God hunters, but he tells towards treachery. Might wanna hurry, run and hide, but Ava can cause Christmas is mine. Yo, piraka, keep a front line attacker, yet somewhat of a complainer. You don't wanna make him irritable. What happens next isn't negotiable. He's armed and mobile, and you will be home.
And lastly, will there ever be a Travel and Terrorism 3? Definitely. I do definitely want to continue the Travel and Terrorism series, or Mercenary Villa, as I would actually like to call it from now on, after I finish making the Project Blizzard series. But I was more thinking of making episodes that don't exactly tie into each other, similar to how the Source Law Maker YouTuber Octocube makes his videos. So it's more thinking of making videos in that format. But after Project Blizzard, I'm sure the story will continue. Thank you for the questions, Simtide, and again, it's always such a pleasure to hear from you. And in return, I shall buy a full acre of land of Phantom Wispy Woods. Now, before we wrap up this video, and this is pretty important, I have decided to take a break from uploading videos for about 3 weeks. Reason being is because I have exams coming up.
Hiss!
And exams suck. So I really want to make sure I prepare myself for these upcoming exams. But also so I can get time to do other hobbies as well, and also make sure to work on other videos for sides, more bigger projects aside from your standard code first impressions or movie mashups. So just thought I might let you know about these guys. I'm not gone forever. I might still come up and say hi in the comments, but just don't expect any uploads for the next few weeks. I do hope you understand, and I'm sorry for any inconvenience it might cause. But with that being said and done, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. And remember that I'm always open to any opinions. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.